Alrighty, welcome back for another part of modeling the Parasaur. In the last video we left off just with the simple body and making sure the blueprints were in place. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So let's go ahead and finish up this tail here. We didn't quite do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Edge Select. I'm going to select this here, get into the right perspective. I'm going to extrude, scale. Let's go ahead and check out the top here. Scale that down. So now what we want to do is we want to hit Control F and do a grid fill. And let's go ahead and change the offset. So I have my span on 7. Actually, I think I'm going to go with, I want to make sure we have quads. So we have quads. Let's go ahead and change the offset here. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and scale this down again. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the tail. Actually, one more thing we want to do is we want to hit Command V. I have a Mac, so I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be on PC, but should be Control, I believe. And we're going to hit Smooth Vertices. So let's turn that down a little bit. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the tail. So we're all done with that there. And now I'm going to hit save. And so now, actually, let me save this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a different file. Now we're going to go ahead and start on the fingers. So I was doing some research online and I came across this website, which I will drag over here for you to see. I was curious as to how many fingers they actually had. And they say they have 5 digits, so 5 fingers. And they were kind of hoof-like. And then there was one single free finger, so kind of like your thumb. So I went online and I was looking at some references, and I'll pull this over here. This is what I was able to find. So you could see here the fingers are kind of joined together, and then you have that free finger on the side. But you also have images, like our blueprint has the fingers kind of free and individual. So I think I'm going to stick with the blueprint and just keep the fingers individual. However, I do kind of like the hoof look. Like these two have the hoofs. It's pretty neat. And then this is arc. So, though I think they're missing a finger in this 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they're missing another finger. Anyway, we will do that right now. And when I was looking at the blueprint, they only you could only see 4 fingers in the perspectives. So we're going to be a little creative when it comes time to modeling the 5th finger, which will be up here most likely. So anyway, let's create a plane. I'm going to go back into vertex select, scale this down, and I am going to scale it some more. Whoop. Yeah, we're going to go into the right perspective because it's definitely not in the right position. Alright, so let's go ahead and begin our extrusions. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I thought I had my screencast keys on, but I did not. So we're going to hit extrude. I'm going to let this go, hit right click. I'm going to scale on the X. So we'll have something like, sorry, just scale. Have something like that. Is there something overlapping? No. Extrude. GX. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Scale on the X. Let's check the right view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on proportional editing and grab this, scroll this down, way down. GY. Okay, that's about right. Extrude. GX. Scale on the X. So what I did is I hit SZ0, and that will flatten the Z-axis so it's 0 degrees right now. I find it's easier to just work like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add in, we could copy this, but I'm just going to repeat what we just did. So we're going to add in a plane. Actually, I am going to steal some geometry. I'm going to go into face select. I'm going to grab the bottom of the nail. I'm going to hit Shift D, drag this over. Okay. And I'm going to go back into vertex. I'm going to extrude to about there. I think the nails could probably plump out a little bit. So just scale that up a little bit. They look a little bit rounded to me, but okay. I'm going to hit Option and select this. Let's check our right view. So I'm not too worried about having them line up just yet. I want them to kind of be side by side, so it's easier for me to like join them up and whatnot, and then we will align them on the right perspective. Okay. So you're going to hit E extrude. So we're right at the base of the finger. So I'm just going to scale that up. I'm going to extrude. Go to about here. So keeping all my edges kind of lined up. SX. I'm going to rotate a little bit. SX. Extrude. Have it to where it's lined up with this guy. Now we could probably go into X-ray mode, and I'm gonna hit, I'm gonna deselect this. So I'm gonna just go GX. I'm gonna move these guys over a smidge. Okay, so I'm gonna do SZ0. Flatten that out again. Alright, So for the next one, I think what I'm gonna do, so what I did here is I just selected a face and hit L. It will select the linked faces. I'm gonna do a Shift D, duplicate that, rotate. And I'm going to edge slide this down by double tapping G. I'll scale on the X a little bit. Go back into edge select. SX. And select this. Selecting that. SX. Okay. So again, I'm gonna press L to select the linked. I'm gonna hit Shift D. Put this guy over here. S, Z, SX, G, right to about here will work. Now I'm going to select all these guys here, go into front view, I'm going to extrude them up, and I am going to scale them on the X, G, X. I think I want this guy to be a little bit bigger. SX, GX. Okay, now they're not going to be lined up here yet. We'll do that after we bridge them. Okay, so we got all of our fingers in place, except for the fifth one, which I'd imagine would be further up top here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to select all these faces in face select mode. We're going to delete them, delete the faces, and now go into vertex select. We're going to select 1, 2, 3, 4, hit F on your keypad. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could hit Shift R. Well, that didn't work. Never mind. Usually that repeats the command you just did, but that didn't work. Alright, hit F. So all the fingers are now connected. So now what we're going to do is hit Option to select all of them, go into front view, and I'm going to extrude up, G, X, to about here. And before I go any further, I think actually I'm going to do one more extrusion, G, X, scale on the X, S, Z, 0, flatten that out again. So it looks like that. SX a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to go into perspective mode. And I'm going to hit this, go into the right. So we already have the front finger in place. I know you can't see it, but the front finger's all set up. We need to adjust this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into face select. I'm going to select this guy, turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to hit connected only. If you don't have connected only, it will, here I'll show you. So G, Y. It'll move everything, but if you have connected only, G, Y. It's only the geometry that's connected to the face here. Okay, so let's proceed. I'm going to scale the circle up. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Actually scroll the wheel down on my mouse. I'm going to grab this guy and move him or her. Okay. Let's rotate that a little bit. GY. Okay, let's grab this finger here, or nail. And I'd imagine it's probably going to be somewhere next to this finger here because we just can't see it. We'll check the back. We have the back all lined up properly, as you can see. Okay, so let's go ahead and move that right next to the other finger. Rotate. Somewhere around here. Let's do the same thing, G, Y. G, Y. And for the finger in the back here, we're going to need to really pull this one out. Scroll up on the wheel, rotate, GY, GY, scroll down on the wheel, just grabbing the bottom part of the nail now. I'm going to rotate this. I think I'm actually going to scale it down a little bit on the Y without proportional editing turned on. Okay, turn proportional editing back on. And now I'm going to select the majority of these faces here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit GY without proportional editing, drag them out, and I'm going to hit edge select. I'm going to select these edges up here, GY. We want to line that palm up. And let's go ahead and select these edges. Go back, right perspective. GY, line this up. Probably want to select these edges here. Hit shift, right, GY. And I think I want to move this finger a little bit forward. Actually, just these two faces. GY. I'm going to select just this guy now. GY. And I will probably grab this one now. GY. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. I'm going to go into edge select. I'm going to select this edge. GY. Okay, so we should have our fingers all figured out. However, I'm thinking that maybe we should have bridged them a little bit further down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's do that now. Let's delete these faces. We don't need all these faces in here. Let's go ahead and delete these guys. It's just extra geometry that you just don't need. And that should be, let's go ahead and delete these ones too. Delete faces. Okay. let's delete these guys because we want to move the join where the fingers join. We want to move that down a little bit. Right now it's too high for my likings. Okay, so let's go ahead and do edge select. Select your fingers here. Hit F. And if you just select these two, Blender will automatically join to the next two. Same thing for the front. F. Whoops. I still have those guys selected back there. Just going around and joining the geometry here. Oops, I messed that up. Wonder what I did here. So what we could do is we could add in an edge loop. I don't really want to do that because it just adds extra geometry. Let me think. Let's try. Okay, I don't know why that was so tricky for me to figure out, but okay, so we got our fingers all set up. And let's go ahead and just check our perspectives here. We could move this out a little bit. So GX. And that looks fine. So you could see the fingers are now, they're not as crazy high as they were. They kind of match the blueprint a little bit better. I'm going to move this just a smidge out. Okay, we don't need to go crazy because we can always sculpt all this in. And so I'm going to go ahead and save. And let's move this down a little bit. GZ. All right, I'm going to see how I'm doing on time here. I don't want to go too overboard. Alright, we'll do a little bit more of the arms, and then I think I'll finish the arms in a separate video. So we're going to extrude right about here to the wrist, scale on the X. Let's check the right. Just move it a little bit on the Y. Go on to the front. So what you want to do is you actually want to, before we go any further, you want to go into your preferences and install Loop Tools. It's a free add-on that comes with Blender. So you just check that, hit save, and we will be able to do this next step. So you want to right-click Loop Tools. This is the new add-on you just installed. Hit circle, and there we have a circle. I'm going to rotate this a little bit. Scale on the X, extrude, SX. Let's check the right perspective. Let's scale it on the Y. Extrude to about there, SX, GY, SY. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this arm. I'm going to hide the body just so it doesn't get in our way. Okay, we're going to extrude, Scale on the X. Scale on the Y a little bit, GY. I'm going to start rotating it. GY. Okay. So I'm going to start working from the right perspective. Okay, we're going to go right to that elbow, that angle there, SY. G. Rotate a little bit more. Extrude. SY. Let's check the front. SX. GX. Okay, we're going to extrude again. Scale on the Y a tad. Okay. So we went a little bit too off course, so we want to move this back over here. And we want to go ahead and rotate. Let's check the right. Right looks good. Okay, let's see where we're at as far as lining up to the body. So we're getting there. I think if we did one more extrusion, we should be good. So let's go ahead and hide the body. Let's check the front. Okay. So let's go ahead and extrude. SY. GY. We might have to delete this edge. I'm not too sure. We'll see. Let's go ahead and rotate, because we want, essentially, it's going to need to join up as best as possible. Okay, I think we're pretty close to combining the geometry. I'm going to leave this video off here because I feel like it's getting a little bit long, but in the next video we will go ahead and join the two geometries together and we will begin modeling the legs. Alright, well, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.